plugging in your points. Let's do this really quick together. So we'd have negative x plus 1 is what we're going to do in this column. So if I plug it in, negative 2 plus 1. So Sophia, what'd you get for this first number for y? 3, great, because I get a negative and positive. 2 plus 1 is 3. So my ordered pair is always x comma y, negative 2 comma 3 for my first point. Do the second one, negative times negative 1 plus 1 gives me what, Bethany? 2, good. So I have negative 1, 2. Now I have negative 0 plus 1 equals, that one's pretty easy, right? Negative 0 is just 0, plus 1 is 1. We get 0, 1. You guys get the gist. Corey, what'd you get for your fourth point? That matches up with 1. 1, 2. So you got 2 for your y. We get 1, 2 for our ordered pair. And Evie, what'd you get for your y for 2? Negative what? Oh. Let's plug this in. Plug this in. Negative times 1 plus 1 equals 0. Yeah, our chart started looking a little funky, right? It didn't really look like a line anymore.
How can you guys tell, too, that we got off? What's the pattern here? Wise. 3, 2, 1.
0. Oh, I changed the wrong one.
Okay. So every time, once you see a pattern, make sure it's like working out every time you do it, right? And you plug that in.
So based off this pattern, what is my y value for 2? Negative 1. Nice. If I had plugged it in, I would have got negative 1 right here. So now what we're going to do, we're going to take it a step further than what we did yesterday. And we're going to graph the line using the two tables. Yeah. This is Weber.
If you're missing them, yes. If you're not, no.
It is a good idea, though, to give yourself the ordered pair column because it makes it really easy to graph. All right, so now that we have these ordered pairs, we are going to graph our line on this grid. Okay, so we're going to start with negative 2, 3. So whenever I'm graphing, I start at 0. I'm going to move left 2 and up 3. Great. Now, negative 1 up 2, I'm going to go, sorry, negative 1, 2 is going to take me left 1 and up 2. We always do our x first, which is left or right, y second, which is up or down. So 0, I don't move left or right at all, and then I move up 1. This one, 1, 0 moves me right 1 and not up or down at all. This one moves me right 2 and down 1. So again, like Miss Weber said, once you see this pattern, your dots should form a line. If your dots don't form a line, you should go back and check your math. So now that we have our points, actually my last point it looks like really bad, so I'm going to fix that real quick. Should be like right there. All right, once we have our points, we're going to connect it. I have a handy dandy straight line tool. Except instead of squares on my line, we should have arrows on these. Don't forget to add those arrows on your line, because this line is actually going forever in both directions, even though we just picked 5 points ourselves. So make sure you put those lines on there. All right, let's try another. This one is a little tricky, you guys. Well, it's not tricky, but you can use a clever trick to make your life a lot easier. So this one we have y equals negative 1/3 x plus 2. And I have a question up there. What are good x values to pick for our table when we have a fractional coefficient on the x? Monica? Multiples of 3. So right here I have multiples of the denominator. So everyone should be putting that as a little note in your notes here. Whenever we have a fraction in front of our x, which is just the nice way of saying fractional coefficient, we want to pick multiples of the denominator to plug in for our x values. So just like before, we want to have it centered around 0. So I'm going to have 0 there. And then I want multiples of 3. So I'm going to go down 3, down another 3, and then I'm going to go up 3, and up another 3. So all of those are multiples of 3. It's going to make my life really easy when I'm plugging in the points.
This is one that you should show some work on in the y column. You have a fraction.
So this one, I'm plugging in, oh, this is my x, this is my y. Can't forget about my labels. So I'm going to plug in my x's into this equation to figure out my y's. Negative 1/3 times negative 6 plus 2. This right here, negative 1/3 times negative 6 is going to give me positive 2 plus 2 gives me 4. Next, we have negative 1/3 times negative 3 plus 2 equals negative 1/3 times negative 3 gives me what, you guys? Positive 1, right? Because this 3 and this 3 cancel. If you guys want, you can write these numbers over 1, and then it will show that canceling a little bit easier. So this is going to be positive 1 plus 2 is 3. Negative 1/3 times 0 plus 2. This is 0. I just get 2. Again, we're starting to see a pattern. So these patterns will happen pretty nicely when you pick a good x values, okay? So negative 1/3 times 3 plus 2. Negative 1/3 times 3 over 1 gives me negative 1 this time, plus 2 is 1. Finally, negative 1/3 times 6 plus 2 equals, I can put my 6 over 1. This 3 cancels, makes this a 2. So I get negative 2 plus 2 is 0. So now I'm going to go through and put down my ordered pairs. So Jordan, what's my ordered pair going to be for this top one? Negative 6, 4. Good. Alex, what's my second ordered pair? Negative 3, 3. Caleb, what's my third one? 0, 2. Monica, what's my fourth one? 3, 1. And Isaac, what's my last ordered pair? 6, 0. Perfect. So I'm going to go over to my graph, and I'm going to graph my ordered pairs. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to start with negative 6, 4 is going to take me left 6 and up 1, 2, 3, 4 to negative 6, 4 coordinate. Negative 3, 3 is going to take me left 3 and up 3. 0, 2, right here, 3, up 1, and finally over 6 and up 0. We always have to connect our points. I think I actually have an arrowed one. This is a cool one. There we go. Don't forget those arrows at the ends of your lines. And our graph is all set using a T-table. All right, this one's pretty simple, you guys. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to work on this yourselves. So we're going to have x, y, x comma y. We want to center it around 0 as usual. This one you're totally fine to just do negative 1 and negative 2, and 1, 2 if you'd like. Here, so negative 2, negative 2 is positive 2, negative 1 is positive 1, negative 0 is still 0, negative 1 is just negative 1, and negative 2 is just negative 2. So you probably noticed that all that was happening was we were switching our signs. So if I was going to plot this, these ones kind of look confusing to plot, but if we just stick to it, we stick to moving left or right for x. So negative 2 is going to move us left 2, and then positive 2 is going to move us up 2, negative 1, up 1, 0, and then now I have right 1 and down 1 and right 2 and down 2. You should have like a straight line that looks just like this one. All right, and I was walking around, you guys seemed like you all were figuring that out, and you're matching with your neighbor. Miss Weber just pointed out, okie doke, horizontal and vertical lines. This stuff's pretty important, you guys. It's something that you kind of just have to memorize, but there's something that is helpful to help you memorize it. We like to think of it as lines that chop through the axis. So when we have x equals 3, it's chopping through the x-axis at 3. So let's make some points. X, this means it's chopping through the x-axis at 3. So everyone needs to write those words down in their notes. I promise you 100% that it's going to help you remember this. If it's chopping through the x-axis at 3, everybody with your hands or arms, show me which direction the x-axis goes. Does it go this way or this way? Nice. So if it's chopping through the x-axis, I have x equals 3 right here. It's chopping through my x-axis, and it's going forever in both directions. So an x equals line is always going to be a vertical line chopping through the x-axis. Vertical line. So probably in a little section of your notes say that x equals 3, it's chopping through the x-axis at 3, and it's a vertical line. So any line that just says x equals something with nothing else on it is just a vertical line. So now I have a y equals -4. So what's happening with this line if I used words just like this? Monica? Yeah, it's chopping through the y-axis at -4. Oops. Through the y-axis at -4. So let's see, my y-axis is this way, -4 is down here, and it's going left and right forever in both directions. So this time, I'm going this way. So y equals lines are always horizontal. So I should see a picture, even if it's really basic, that looks like this. That says x equals 3, chopping through the x-axis. And then this one, y equals -4, it's chopping through the y-axis, and it is horizontal. Y equals lines where it's just a number are always horizontal lines. All right, that's stuff even the Algebra 2 kids struggle with. So if you guys just cram this into your brain and remember it forever, you'll be in good shape next year. Okay. Any questions? Those ones are pretty simple. You just gotta remember them. Okay. Here